Hello, 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 and welcome, one and all, to the resurgence, the undying, and the frankly redonkulous Failcast F1 podcast. We are back after a hiatus of Rona proportions, and thank you so much for being patient whilst we go and sort out our general lives and then come back with more unfit opinions for the airwaves. My name is Simon, Mr. Bolkenberg, and alongside me, the long-suffering teammate and the Perez to your Sergio, it is Mr. Definitely Zero. How are you doing, sir?
Pip, old man, I'm doing better than you've been doing. Delighted that you're not dead, because, that would have been really inconvenient.
It'd been shit for a co-op season, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean... I just think, you could have been more considerate before you get a potentially lethal lung virus.
I know.
But, we've worked together a long time now, so I'm prepared to overlook it. But yeah, don't die. It's just unacceptable. Anyway, let's start on a sweeter note, shall we? It's very good to be back with you, mate. I've been itching to pick this up because we are having our best season ever. And... today, the viewers find us at, how to describe it? A track where, historically, I've always been very fast, but incredibly crash-happy. A track that I have almost won at twice, but crashed, 3 laps from the end on both occasions. Hoping that doesn't happen again, because we are currently 3rd and 4th in the Drivers' Championship. Mm-hmm. And most of our bogey circuits are behind us, so exciting times. What else is exciting, as we ready up, is testing has kicked off for the 2021 season, and we have got 3 months' news backed up in the pipes. So shall we reach for the metaphorical plunger and plunge ourselves some clumpy, hairy bits of news?
Oh yes, let's
from the pipes of motorsport.
From the pipes of my lungs as well, by the sounds of it. So yeah, no, all for that. Azerbaijan's probably the last of my big bogey tracks for a while, so looking forward to getting that out of the system. Where shall we start? And do we need that plunger for the sandstorm that took place at Bahrain yesterday?
I tell you what. Yes, that's a good place to start.
I love that they went there to be like, we'll always have good weather at Bahrain. It won't be snowy. Nothing will get in the way. And then Bahrain was like, no, I say no to Mazepin too. And that comes in with a giant cloud. Oh dear.
See. Yeah, I saw. I mean, it was hard to gauge on some of the images how bad it was. But then I saw Alpine posted a photo of Esteban Ocon, and all the white bits of his race suit were stained like a sandy colour, and it had actually been sandblasted into a murky brown colour. It looked pretty grim, to be honest.
Sounds like the outset of someone who'd braked too late into turn 1.
Yeah. Exactly. That said, interesting first day of testing, I thought, and we will do our usual livery rundown, but I was interested to see a lot of the teams sharing the running on every day, which I guess kind of makes some sense if you think about it. It lightens the load on each driver for their stint, and it means, assuming there's potential for bad weather on a single day, that no single driver is left running only in one set of conditions, if that makes sense. And the cars generally seem quite reliable. I know Lance Stroll, or was it Vettel, had trouble in the Aston Martin at one stage.
Vettel, didn't he? Got stuck at the end of the pit lane.
Yeah, and Charles Leclerc brought out a red flag. But that aside, it didn't seem like there was too much bother. And really, this is the first time I found that I'm noticing the absence of Romain Grosjean.
Because there wasn't someone off in the gravel at some point.
Yeah, because there wasn't 3 or 4 spectacular accidents by now. Obviously, we are incredibly happy and grateful that Roman is alive and well and building a career destroying expensive cars in America now. But I do miss the drama he injected into pre-season testing, and well, every session he was in, actually. I mean, that said, though, he did go out on a high. That crash in Abu Dhabi was definitely his
piece de resistance,
magnum opus, wasn't it? It was like that was what it was always building up to. All the small embarrassing crashes, and then he's like, "Right, we're going to go out in style now."
It's like when you get into the final series of your favourite TV show and all cast are expendable, so you don't quite know exactly what's going to happen.
Exactly, you don't know who they're going to allow to die off. My favourite bit about that whole story, apart from the fact that he survived relatively uninjured, is that Gene Haas had agreed to sponsor him in IndyCars, and then withdrew and said blatantly to the press, "I'm not going to sponsor him to kill himself." Did you see that?
Yes, yeah. You showed me it. Which seems like such a weird.
So hard I crashed.
Oh no!
It's okay. Roman does that to me.
Ah, if he can't crash himself, he's got to make sure he crashes into other people.
The spirit of Grosjean took over. Anyway, sorry, go on.
The spirit. I found that really, really fascinating. But yeah, had he have not had that almighty smash, I don't know quite. Oh, I've just done the same fucking thing. I don't know quite how he could have justified him still paying for it anyway, because he's crashed every other session. Yeah, bizarre. But good fun.
I think to be honest, it was just a convenient excuse. Like, maybe at the end of season party, Gene was a bit pissed and kind of agreed to something he didn't really want to do. And then had to look for an excuse to get out, and then he's like, well, out of concern for your wife and kids, I'm not going to give you money to pursue your racing career. Which makes total sense to me. The interesting thing as well is that Gunther Steiner has said that he wants Kevin Magnussen back.
Already?
Yeah, he said in future he would like to work with Kevin Magnussen again. Thinks he's a great driver. I kind of agree, though. I think Magnussen is a good driver.
I don't think we ever saw the best of him.
No, we didn't. But I don't think Haas brings out the best in anybody. Although, that said, he is the first person ever to fuck smash a door on broadcast television. So he will always have that to his name. It's just sad that and telling Nico Hulkenberg to suck his balls will be the memorable footnotes in his F1 career. Not the podium on debut where he nearly set himself on fire, not some of the amazing overtakes he did, but fuck smashing a door, inventing both smashing a door and inventing a new verb that doesn't quite make sense. Telling Hulkenberg to suck his balls. It's kind of a shame, really.
The memes that give.
Now, I know you and I both haven't played this game in a while. Do these cars feel a bit more skittish to you than they did?
I think they do, but it's because most of my racing that I've been doing has been in on PC with Race Room, and everything handles on that like a truck. So I'm getting really used to having something light and nimble again, and I can't quite deal with it.
So back to testing. Obviously, the standout really seemed to be Danny Rick. Now, this is actually something that Toto Wolff touched on, and so did Christian Horner. Both of them saying they were worried about McLaren this year because they have Mercedes power now. Now, obviously, we know pre-season testing form is not form. No. But he was able to top the timing boards on 2 different tyres. And to me, from what I did see of testing, he looked very comfortable in the car. And I don't know if that's just, him being naturally versatile or a solid driver, which we know him to be, or whether, it's just positive thinking, new team with potential, or is it that the car is actually really well engineered? It has brought also a swathe of articles in a lot of the F1 press saying, forget Adrian Newey, James Key is the future. And that a lot of people are now saying, well, James Key's move to McLaren is what has turned things around, which could entirely be true, right? Because he did great work at Toro Rosso. And the fact that they never let him into the mothership team meant it was inevitable for me he would leave. And he was definitely a designer that I thought was, oh, fuck, not again. For me, he was the designer to watch, you know.
Yeah, no, it is interesting. And I was always slightly worried with McLaren in that with the engine change, they had more of a mountain to climb this year than everyone else. And I wondered whether or not that would be a great springboard or whether it would actually end up being a real issue for them, because that means that they can't then develop other things elsewhere. But what it seems to have done is the Mercedes power has enabled them to kind of refine some of their other stuff, and they can kind of get two for the price of one, I guess, in terms of upgrades, because not only is it a step up over the Renault engine, but it allows them to then repackage the car so that it can do the best in terms of package design and how that aero kind of flows around. And if it's a well-handled car that can work across a variety of different things, that is something that Danny Rick can then grab by the scruff of its neck and throw around. So it's made me exceptionally happy that McLaren have topped the timesheets, and that he was topping the sheets at least by lunchtime this afternoon. I don't know what's happened by the end of the actual test, but yeah, super excited. And for me, I don't know if it's necessarily a testing form of like this is how it's going to be, but the fact that we've just got some different names up on top, and the gap continues to close, that can only be a great thing, because going back to say like Imola towards the end of last year and stuff like that, having them sitting on row 2 just 4 or 5 tenths behind the Mercedes, great. And then if you can factor in that the fact that they've now got the Mercedes engine, what's that, another 3 tenths on? It's only another kick on, and then they're suddenly up there at the top in a dream world.
And that's what we want to see, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, my impression so far, which could be completely incorrect, is that all the teams have moved forward. I don't see anyone having really moved backwards except Haas, and that's because they've stood still.
Yeah.
Because they basically said we're doing nothing. So we know they're going to be last. Which I think is a bit of a shame for Mick Schumacher, but also I kind of think he shouldn't be there at all. So I kind of don't care.
Yeah.
Right, let's see if I can actually finish a lap. Wouldn't that be good? Speaking of McLaren, I've got one right in my way. Get out of the way now, please. I need to do a hot lap so I actually qualify for this Grand Prix. There's no way I'm going to finish this fucking race, by the way.
Same.
I've crashed at least once every lap.
I shouldn't have been playing Circuit Superstars just before this either. I should have practiced. Never mind.
I've taken too much downforce off the car, thinking I could handle it, and I just can't. My brain's not fast enough today. But yeah, looking further down, have you seen much of the Williams?
Yes, I prefer it much more out on track. I think it's a stupid thing that they stuck Ryan Nissany in for the first day, but then again, the all-seeing cloud of stand kind of put pay to some of that, I think. So it wouldn't have been the best kind of reference. But again, they're looking like they've taken a good step forward, because if Roy Nissany, who we know is not World Championship material, is still able to, on long runs, be a second in front of the Haas's, that to me is a good thing. So, yay.
Indeed, I'm actually kind of hopeful, because we know how good George Russell is. Yep. I don't think, Nicholas Latifi would not be my first choice for that seat, let's be clear, but I don't think he by any means disgraced himself.
No, and he was much better in race pace compared to quali. He was much more with it then. Just needed to The problem with Latifi was that his lows were very, very, very low.
Yeah, true. But, rookie pass, right?
Yeah.
But also, I saw from Jos Capito, we were talking about before we went live, that Dorilton Capital have put in $100 million. And that, apparently they're really serious about making this takeover work, which is fantastic. They've also said that they are not prepared to sell out the heritage and brand of the team for money. So they're saying we're not going to take a title sponsor that overwrites the Williams name, which I've got huge respect for, because it's true, that is part of the value of their investment. That is a large chunk of what they've bought. That history, the heritage payments. So I'm kind of cautiously optimistic. I did not like the livery when it leaked or when they officially launched it. Didn't like it at all. We both agreed it looked like something you unlock in a mobile game, and it's something not designed to have sponsors on it. But that said, they've been consistently rolling out sponsor announcements this week, so things definitely seem to be moving in the right direction. Williams have already said that they don't expect to keep George Russell for 2022, which implies to me he's off to Mercedes, and not a minute too early, in my opinion.
Agreed.
So I'm curious who they replace him with, and it will be a true sign of what Dorilton are doing if it's another pay driver. Or, God help us, Roy Nissany. But I'm quietly optimistic, and we'll go into liveries in a little bit more detail later on. But something else for me was the Aston Martin. Looked fantastic out on track, I thought. Interestingly, though, Vettel doesn't seem to be all that comfortable with it yet. And he said that he feels like he has a lot to learn. He's never driven with Mercedes power before, I don't believe.
No, he hasn't.
And
good pickup.
He's so he's got a new engine to sort of become familiar with. I think also, if he was going out of his comfort zone, I think Racing Point, Aston Martin, Force Eyebrows, Badger, Stroll, Jordan, Midland is the right place to do it. Because they have been making cracking chassis for quite some time now.
Yeah. And the whole point of those chassis were that they were relatively, at least recently, it wasn't historically, but those cars were designed to be easy to drive and manhandle, because that was what they had to aim for a base. So that should hopefully let him kind of grow in there. But yeah, I hadn't noticed that that's the first time that he's driven with Mercedes power, because it would have been BMW, then it would have been Ferrari at Toro Rosso, and then Red Bull would have been Renault. So yeah, you're right. Good pickup. And they all have different drive handling trains, don't they? So
yeah, they do. I mean, it's something that I think often gets overlooked when a driver changes teams. Because I'm wondering also how Carlos Sainz handles it, because he's never driven Ferrari power before. But also, actually, that's something else to touch on. The only thing about McLaren's success that makes me sad is that Carlos Sainz isn't there to benefit from it. And I just hope the Ferrari isn't a complete bag of crap. And honestly, it feels too early to say on that, because I haven't seen much footage of the Ferrari out on track to judge how it looks. That said, everyone does seem to be quite close together with the exception of the Haas's. And I was thinking about this the other day. It's crazy how competitive F1 is now. I mean, we often complain that it's kind of boring. But really, if you go back to the 90s, and the field spread was huge. Yeah.
I was looking at I love the did not pre-qualify Facebook group, and it's things like this Aguri Suzuki in the 1989 footwork plus 9.6 seconds off pace 28, and I'm like, oh my Christ. And you just forget, and going back to 1993 and 92, where the Williams had 1.5 seconds advantage. Now we can fit the entire field within there, and it's a travesty if you're 20th. So it is crazy, and one of the upshots of that was I don't know if you saw any of them on the F1 channel where Will and Lawrence were talking about like what's a good year and what's a bad year look for people. It increasingly started to become a don't know for quite a lot of the different teams, because Ferrari, in theory, could make up an absolute ton of ground and get themselves sorted again, but still end up 6th or 7th in the constructors, and that could in theory end up be a good year because they've gained like a second of time or whatever. But if they just have the rub of the wrong come race day, they could be right the way down the bottom. Similarly, vice versa, they could have a string of really great races, and that's where I think Sainz and Leclerc potentially could work really well together as a duo. You could end up 3rd or 4th in the constructors, and I think this will be a great year to showcase how a driver matters.
Oh yeah, the driver's becoming way more important than I think at any other time in the sport. And what it would say to me is, now is not the time to start a team from scratch. Because the field is far too competitive. Like, the quality of all the entrants is phenomenal.
Yeah.
You know, I even include Haas in that. Interestingly, though, I don't think Haas will be Haas much longer, but we'll get onto that later. Oh, I've just lost a little bit of time. I was going to improve. I'm going to run to the back of a Ferrari, though, which isn't going to help. I was 8th in pole by 8/10, though, so I don't think I need to improve that badly.
Yeah, no, you're fine. You have so much more the legs of me around this circuit.
It's okay, that's only until I encounter a wall at high speed, which will definitely happen. Oh, I'm still going to go faster. Not that much, but I did. Pole position. Whoop.
Yeah, and because there's talk of a couple of new things. You've got the Hispania team making a comeback, which I think might now be slightly more dampened with Adrian Campos passing away. Although they still say they've got an intention to do it. And then there's the Chinese team that was talked about for a while, and then the Monaco team. I think some of them might all kind of merge together, but yeah, there is still talk of it, isn't there?
The Monaco one is the one I take most seriously out of those.
Yeah.
Although I do expect to see a Chinese team in the sport in the coming years. But I mean, there's lots of people who say they want to put together an entry again, even though because they put that 200 million fee in, right? But now they're already talking about waiving it to expand the grid. So I don't know what the point of legislating it was if they don't intend to stick with it.
It seems silly in a COVID world where you would struggle to even have that kind of capital anyway before you got going at the moment. I think it's counterintuitive.
Oh, for sure.
Excuse me, sorry.
I do not like my strategy at all.
Oh, are they giving you a two-stoppy?
Yeah.
Same.
For both.
Yeah. Let me have a
soft, medium, medium, or soft, hard, medium. But I'm on the hards as long as I'm on the mediums. So why? Why?
Can I do...
If a soft, hard, soft worked, then I could live with that. It says it's slower, but I just don't believe it.
See, it says to me that soft tyres for me till lap 7, then hards for all the way to the end is 7.2 seconds quicker than what it tells me to do.
Actually, if I go 5 laps on the soft, 14 on the mediums, and then 7 on the softs, that's nearly 2 seconds faster than what it gave me. I'm probably going to stick with a two-stopper anyway, just because I feel like that would time quite nicely for a front wing change. Setting my goals high. Yeah. You've been playing this game too long, mate. You know what's up.
Normally my downforce and my braking. Oh dear.
I was thinking about putting some extra fuel into the car to help weigh down the rear end, but...
There's strategy for you.
I don't know if it's actually going to help. It's just the back of the car gets a bit squirrely, and at the end of my middle stint, I think I'm going to have issues. But fuck it, I'm going to have issues whenever I drive. I just have issues, basically.
I'm going to stay on it. I'm going to... Yeah, fuck it. I'm going to...
My hands are really sweaty. Oh, there's a racing point right behind me. So he's qualified well, whoever it is. The sun's...
Perez.
The sun's glinting off... and I've turned all my like overlay off, so I just have cockpit view, so I can't see who's behind me. Get out of my way, peasants.
Sorry, Sergio.
So, the other thing from testing, obviously, Mercedes not had the best start.
No, wonky.
Had some issues on Bottas's car that curtailed running to, I believe, 6 laps on the first day. I'd love for them to have serious technical issues. I know that's a horrible thing to say, but it is also true. I
might also be reading too much into it as well, but after Hamilton had his little spin, I just thought it was really odd that he just walked into the garage and kind of just walked through everyone and then went and sat out the back. And it just struck me as a bit like dejected and not really in the groove.
Well, I mean, that was something we touched on before we went live, right? That he seems a bit miserable, and partly it's believed to be to do with his contract, which we'll talk about in a moment, I think. But it's also... Brundle interviewed him and said he's just not in the headspace you would think.
Yes, I heard him say that, actually, yeah.
And I think, honestly, Daimler want him out. Because it was Daimler who didn't want to renew his contract at the fee he was asking for, and now he's only got a 1-season deal, and I guess they're thinking, well, we know with George Russell we don't have to pay you that much. So it seems almost like a courtesy, okay, have an 8th World Championship, and then, sorry, but it's adios, amigo. Because he's already implied he doesn't want to be teammates with Russell, which I think is very short-sighted of him, because even if Russell beats him, it's a way to bow out gracefully, almost handing the torch on.
Yep. One brick to another.
And so many drivers refuse to fucking do that. You know what I mean? Like, they're just not ready to give up the number 1 spot. And that really, really annoys me. But, I mean, also, I can't see the pairing of Russell and Bottas being what they go for either.
I feel like they would want to keep one or the other for some kind of continuity, but then there's something for me that says 2022, fresh new start, fresh new Ineos in and up in their stake and all of that kind of stuff. It would be the time to do the natural kind of let's get out of here. I can't remember how long Toto's re-signed up for. Was it 3 years?
2 or 3 years, I think.
Oh, I am terrible.
Because part of me wonders if we couldn't see... If Ocon has a good season at Alpine, I wonder if we could see Russell Ocon.
Yeah. And Ocon seems especially fired up, doesn't he, this year?
Well, he has to be, because I don't think he really impressed last year.
No, he came all right towards the end, but it was always still in Ricciardo's shadow. And I don't want my kind of legacy. His legacy for me is him saying about how convinced he is that being French is amazing. To be my everlasting legacy of what he does this year. That was just stupendous. Oh, I'm not doing well.
I'm actually... I know I'm out front, but I am struggling. The car does not feel good to me at all.
I pinched a brake and I lost 3 places, so I'm no longer backing up everyone.
Why don't we touch on on the Hamilton deal.
Yeah.
So he's on a 1-year extension. Toto says he doesn't doubt Hamilton's commitment to the sport, but he doesn't say anything about Hamilton's commitment to Mercedes. And I really think Hamilton overplayed his hand in these negotiations quite a bit. He could be on a 3-season deal now if he was willing to take a pay cut.
Yeah.
You know, when with COVID, with companies having to make drastic cutbacks, with people losing their jobs, demanding 20 million a season to me seems a bit fucking rich. But I guess, you know, he needs the money for stupid haircuts and ridiculous glasses. And I don't know how much those little scooters cost, but I guess probably quite a bit.
Yes.
So I guess, you know, he has that to also factor in. Admin expenses. Yeah, maybe it's fair, I don't know.
Oh. Yeah, no, I agree. And especially when you've got a backdrop of cost cutting and all of that kind of stuff on there as well, and the fact that they're having to do some serious legwork around to try and keep people in jobs or move them from different parts of one technical team to another. I don't think that gets taken too lightly when you're trying to throw big money deals everywhere. And the world is hurting right now, so you need to kind of pull your big boots in wherever possible, and that's across the board. It's not just a Hamilton thing. I think it's just an everything thing. And the other issue with that is that when you're dealing with socio-political agendas, you need to make sure that kind of what you ask for in one place is congruent with what you ask for elsewhere.
Yes, you do. I completely agree. I mean, to be honest with you as well, I wouldn't be surprised actually if some of his political activism didn't piss Daimler off a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, they're not an especially woke company, are they? I hate that term. And the thing is, you know, whether you agree with what he says or not, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. Mm-hmm. But the worst thing you can do when you're trying to sell people things, especially expensive things, is alienate half your customer base.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, you know, the whole Gillette thing a few years back. No matter what you thought of the ad, if your aim is to sell razors and that is your job, then don't talk about politics. Just sell the fucking razors. Right?
Yes.
Just sell the razors. It's not your job to fix the world, it's your job to make razor blades. So make the razor blades and let everyone make up their own mind. Because, you know, it tanked their share price, it ruined sales, and it's like, fine, you put out a message that you feel good about, that's kind of cool, but that's also not what your job is.
Mm-hmm.
So I do wonder if an element of that is also why Daimler didn't really want him around. I'm not saying Daimler don't agree with a lot of what he's saying, maybe they do, but it's just good business to keep your hands clean with this stuff and just stay out of it and just focus on the core business.
Yeah.
Because that's what, at the end of the day, pays your staff's wages. It's what puts money in the bank. And you need that more than ever right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And to be honest, they were just lucky the FIA was not consistent. Because if they applied their rules consistently, they would have been penalised for his T-shirt.
Yes.
Under the letter of the rules.
Yes.
So, you know, maybe they realise that as well. I'm also curious, really, to figure out what the deal is with Ineos. How committed they are, how much money they really have. I saw them making their own car, which I don't know if you've seen, but it looks like it's based off a Mercedes off-roader.
Oh, okay.
That they've kind of stuck their own name on and made some tweaks to. Oh, my tyres were shredded. It's good I came in when I did.
Yeah, I'm a bit confused. Ineos is a company that I'm not super aware of in general anyway. But the fact that is it 35% that they've now got a stake in the team of?
Yeah, it's equal three ways.
I find that absolutely fascinating because that paves way for a Mercedes exit and a Ineos GP takeover or whatever that becomes, or a Toto takeover, Team Toto. I'd love that. But for me, maybe it's the legacy of Caterham, where you end up having a committee trying to pull something in all different directions. Does that then water down exactly how life is later on down the road when you've got too many peas in the pod?
Yeah, it's a good point, and it's totally unclear right now. Do you know what I'm thinking? Next time I race at this circuit, I'm going to start on the mediums because I've come out in so much traffic and you cannot fucking overtake here at all.
Same. And everyone behind us is on mediums or hards. I'm dead last at the moment.
I'm P12 and I've got 2 Alpha Tauris and something else in front of me, and I cannot get past them because they're running nose to gearbox. I can't see what tyres they're on, but I'm guessing they're on mediums.
Oh, come on, K-Mag.
And my battery charge is pretty much empty, trying to catch them on the straight so I can get through, but that's not going to happen. Yeah, they're trying to go 3 wide into turn 1.
Ouch.
And thanks to running in traffic, I've now come out behind a Mercedes that I was previously ahead of, so I've lost the lead.
No.
Oh no. Oh. Big crash with Gasly and Hamilton. That's caught me up in it.
Oh yeah, I see the yellow flags kicking off. Oh, the sirens have come to clear it up.
Yeah. Well,
now
I've got an orange half of my front wing, but I am staying out. Fuck it. I'm not losing the win in Baku again. It's not happening. If I have to drag this car across the line with 2 wheels, I'm taking this win.
that was the
In
most.
1 year, we're not going to have a Mercedes Constructors Champion.
I've just done a really pleasing move around the outside of Giovinazzi on the corner before the stupid one into the castle. Very pleased with myself. Okay.
Other news, Sergio Perez. I found it very interesting that, much like you and I speculated in previous episodes, he has come out and said he completely understands why other drivers have struggled with the car.
Yeah, and he was saying that it's taken him a little while to kind of get used to and understand it all as well, which is kind of reassuring in a way, and also confirms the whole, well, it definitely was a Verstappen car then.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the good thing is, I think if anyone can handle it, it's probably him.
Yeah.
I'm actually very confident in Perez going into this season. I think he can take the heat. I'm not entirely sure how committed Honda are going to be at this point. I think time will tell on that front.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder who's leading the race.
I don't know, I've just overtaken Vettel, who's come out on hards, which makes me think that he's going to try and not pit again.
Yeah, I would guess so. But I'm not touching the hards because on the mediums I'm losing quite a bit of pace. And what I'd really love, is Perez to properly challenge Verstappen. But by no means do I think Red Bull are a shoo-in for second in the Constructors this year.
Ah, shit. No, I agree. I can't quite put my hand on what I think an order would be.
No, me neither.
Which is lovely.
Nowhere at all.
Yeah.
Because for me, Alfa Romeo are a complete unknown quantity.
Yeah, and they've been doing, and they're difficult to understand after like the day and a half of testing as well, because I don't know why, but I thought that they would be slightly detached, and they're not. And that's going to be partly because of the improved Ferrari engine, of course. But I don't know why. I just assumed that they would be a bit of a kind of, we'll coast through 2021 because, well, Kimi will just drive any old thing around and make good of it. But also, I feel like they're in a holding pattern, just like what Haas would be. But they've been a bit better than what I thought they were going to be. So it surprised me.
Their team wear looks very dapper as well.
Mm-hmm.
Completely unrelated information, but again, true.
Loving it.
Also, I love the new AlphaTauri team wear.
Yeah?
Yeah, with the diagonal stripe on the back. It looks awesome.
I don't know if I've seen it. I'll have to have a look.
Right, I'm getting very annoyed at being stuck in traffic now. Like, genuinely angry. Because I'm faster than them, but I just cannot get past. And now Hamilton's closing right up my chuff.
See, I've hurt my front wing and now I'm all over the shop. But it's too early to do another switch to mediums and I don't want to switch to hards.
Come on, come on. Fucking hell. I can't catch an AlphaTauri on the straight. I mean... Oh, there we go, I got past him. He gave me a nudge, because they always do. But I'm past him, so now I've just got a McLaren in front of me.
Kimi, you little bitch.
So then, shall we talk about liveries, since that's one of our favourite things of the year? Not just liveries, but also the cars themselves.
Mm-hmm.
The one point I believe we both agree on, but please correct me if I'm wrong, is that the Haas is the worst car this year.
Ooh. Can I say, I joint worst for me.
Go on, controversial.
That Ferrari, what the hell is that piece of green doing there?
Oh, yeah, but actually it's an Italian flag, but they've just not designed it very well.
Is that true?
Yeah. Yeah, it goes from white to green. It's supposed to be an Italian flag, but no one's noticed. Except me, apparently. Box this lap. Hard tyres.
Oh, wow.
I just knackered my front wing again. I braked too late. And I'm losing so much time now that it's not funny, so...
Great maneuver. You made it look easy.
Oh, and I can dry my sweaty palms as well. Don't know how many laps we have left, actually.
We're on lap 11, just starting.
Out of
26.
Oh, so I've got 15 laps on the hards.
Yeah.
I don't know if that will work.
You'll be enough, but it's
So I've come out what, P16. I'm behind a fucking AlphaTauri again. Oh no, it's a Williams. Actually, I don't know if that's better. Get out of my way. And now I just have to really keep my nose clean. Literally.
Never mind. Last bogey track for a while. We'll be okay. We'll be okay. Yeah, I don't like... My opinion of the Haas is just meh. I'm not, like, offended by it, but it feels very... I've not really liked a Haas livery since, I'm sad to say, the Rich Energy one. That was literally
I didn't even
the
like
only...
that one, to be honest.
No, but it was the best of their bad jobs.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just... I'm not offended by the Haas livery. It just feels uninspired and exactly the type of workmanlike thing that I expected that it would be. So I just kind of am like, okay. But yeah, I'm glad that it's not another kind of grey and red kind of mishmash, because that did not work for me at all.
No. I think the liveries have been, by and large, terrible. So I agree with you. No surprises. Now, for me, the next one on my shit list would actually be the new Mercedes.
Ooh.
Because, well, I mean, come on, what a fucking mess.
They do seem to have just gone copy-paste on the AMG logo.
Yeah.
An awful lot of copy-paste.
No, I mean, they the black livery, I saw on their Facebook page, even people who were supportive of, like, the political message, people were saying bring back the silver. Everyone wanted the silver back. To me, I actually preferred the black.
Same.
But the fact that they've tried to do both just looks awful.
Yeah.
And then there's, like, bits of red where there shouldn't be. I mean, the red star for Nikki I can kind of allow, but there's other bits on there and it's just kind of a bit odd.
Yeah. And it looks like it's just been slapped on top, not actually integrated at all into any of it.
Exactly. So yeah, not a huge fan of that. But it was interesting to see that Ferrari have basically done the same thing, right? They've got the green, which you've touched on, which is completely out of place. But then, like, they've got the standard Ferrari red, and then a darker red at the back.
Which I quite... Initially, I was like, oh, I don't mind that. But it's like a hit to the past, so to speak. But the problem is that it just looks like it's burnt a bit.
Yeah, it looks a bit singed, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I just got pushed into a wall by an Alfa Romeo.
Yes, I like that. There's a fanfic going on there. What I do like about the Ferrari in this kind of, like, thinking of retro days again type thing is the way how they've done the numbers.
Yeah.
So that they are like hand painted type thing. And I'm a sucker for all of that kind of, we've lent into the vintage side of things. I just wish that the gradient of the red would I don't know. I feel like if they were going to do the changing of the red, it should start slightly further forward and be a more, like, gradual radial change.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It does seem a bit harsh around the borderline, doesn't it?
Yeah. That green thing apparently is only there for a couple of races this year, thankfully, because of obviously it being the controversial Mission Winnow. Let's advertise cigarette smoking by advertising how to not cigarette smoke with our cigarette smoking money. Oh, the confusion. Only in Formula One would you find that kind of shit fuckery, if you've ever watched any of the Juice Media podcasts from the Australian government. So yeah, I find it just bizarre and strange. Not a fan of that one. Mercedes is actually in my bottom selection of liveries as well, so we're kind of on par here so far.
And I believe I would be right in saying we both put the Williams in the bottom half as well. I'll be honest with you, I prefer last season's Williams to this one.
Yeah, I quite liked last season's ones. Yeah, I just feel like it's a livery that I wouldn't buy on season pass in this game, let alone sticking it on an F1 car elsewhere. Yeah, tricky and weird. But I do prefer it more in real life than I did on the actual thing itself. Also, whilst we're on the Williams livery and the way how... what did you think
you
of...
bastard. Sorry, Vettel just failed to brake and pushed me into the wall. Like, he literally just drove me into the wall.
Trust it to be on this track as well. Oh, safety car.
Yes.
Oh, I just got a 5-second penalty for hitting Stroll under that safety car. Ah. This is a nightmare. Only hit him because he slowed to an absolute stop. Are you still going?
Yeah. I'm coming into pit since it's safety car.
So it's because Daniel Kvyat is smoking with a massive engine problem. That's why the safety car's out. So we'll gain a position because he was right up the front of the field somehow.
Yeah, he was one of the bastards that was holding me up. Right, please do not bring in the safety car.
Nope.
I hate this Delta system as well.
Agree.
Oh, we're double boxing.
It won't let me serve my time penalty here, will it?
It might.
Yeah, no, they are. Stupid game. I mean, I love that, but stupid game. And a new front wing whilst we're at it as well. Why the fuck not? Sorry about that, mate.
It's alright. I was already fucked anyway. And it's happening at Alfa Romeo as well, I can see them.
We were robbed, I tell you, we were robbed.
We were properly robbed.
It's alright, we'll be back up again. And most people have not pitted, so we're going to have a massive tyre advantage.
I sure hope so.
With 11 to go. Before all that kicked off, sorry, I was just going to say, what was your opinions on Hackgate at the Williams' thing? Because I kind of felt really sorry for them in how that's all kind of come about, and the fact that actually their CAD files have ended up for the actual car online somehow in all of that because of how they didn't box things together. But I found actually online, and maybe it was because I was looking on Twitter, that there was a complete lack of sympathy, and that apparently if you put an app online, you're saying that it's okay for people to pick it apart and consume the content how they see fit, seemed to be what people were talking about. And I just thought, no, you've just ruined what would have been a great little AR experience for everyone, you bunch of wankers.
Yeah, I felt bad for them, but it was a monumentally stupid thing to do.
Yes.
In this day and age.
Yeah.
Like, most people were speculating when it was first leaked. They were saying, "Oh, it's too ugly. It's obviously a fake," and they'll do an update on the day with the real one.
Mm-hmm.
But no, that wasn't the case. It was actually the real thing. The good news is that I believe none of their current partners are cybersecurity firms, so there's no sponsorship that's suddenly going to be at risk.
Yes, that's a good shout.
But yeah, they kind of brought it on themselves, and hopefully it's a lesson learned.
If you had the money to do an F1 livery or like team launch now, what would you do?
Oh, that's a very good question. To be honest, I think it's kind of hard to do a good one now.
Would it involve the Spice Girls? And a volcano?
Well, obviously, yes. No, I mean, to be honest with you, I think it's... I don't know if people actually care about launches so much as they care about just seeing the livery in the car. Launches used to be a thing for sort of schmoozing sponsors and for like promotional shots for your sponsors, but that even seems to be less of a deal now. And you know, as the current sort of middle-aged people age out, and you know, you and I become the middle-aged business owner class. I don't think we'll care. Pass Grosjean. Host is allowing the pass. Why am I allowed to pass Grosjean on the safety car? That doesn't sound right. Now it's saying stay behind Grosjean, and now I've crashed into the back of Grosjean. 5-second penalty. Severe collision with Grosjean because he braked.
When the field accelerates, remember, there is no overtaking until the green flags. Safety car in this lap.
This place is a clusterfuck on a restart in real life, let alone what the AI can and can't do.
I haven't complained about the AI so much in this game, but at this track they are abysmal.
Yeah.
Because I've been punted into the wall twice.
Green flag.
Nice. Triple overtake. Which I think is about to become a double. Ah, I'm in the wall.
The field is so fucked up as well. There's a Williams ahead of a Ferrari here. And everyone's like 3 wide.
Okay, the wing is still on. We're okay.
I can't believe that I got pole by 0.8 of a second and you are now going to outscore me.
I don't think so. My wing is absolutely ruined. Yeah, it wants me to pit. I don't think so.
How many laps do we have left? Please say it's not many.
9.
Fuck. Oh, I've just gone straight on into the wall.
Oh no.
Because I've got no wing. Oh, the temptation to retire is overwhelming.
Boo.
I can't even keep the car on the track now. Box this lap. Oh, now I've crashed properly. Every fucking time. Every time at this track.
No. That came
Fast but
out
accident prone.
at the exact moment I'd just overtaken Norris for position. So
It's okay, though. That means I can jump on board with you.
thank you for that. Because that means that it's 3 laps with less tyre wear with my broken wing. So that's less pain that I have to deal with. Okay. So we've done worst car liveries. What's your favourite ones? And do you have an order?
I do. For me, honestly, as much as I wanted the Aston Martin to be my favourite, and the thing is, I do love the Aston Martin. I didn't think green and pink would work together, but surprise, surprise, they do. To me, it doesn't look like British racing green. It looks like it's got too much of a blue undertint to it, but I still think it's beautiful. But for me, the Alpine is my favourite. I didn't realise how much I missed French racing blue, but I really did. The McLaren, I'm kind of over at this point. And so for me it would be Alpine, Aston Martin, and then tied for third is Alfa and Alfa. Because I think both the Alfa Tauri and the Alfa Romeo look classy and professional and clean. I think I'd probably give the edge to the Alfa Tauri, just because I think the way they've branded the car looked so fucking good. But the reversed colours on the Alfa Romeo works for me in a way I would never have anticipated. What about you? Who are your kings of the hill?
So I too have Alpine as my top. I absolutely love that. Completely agree with the racing blue. The French blue rather, and the way how that all comes together. Love that. I am still on with the McLaren actually, so that kind of sits equal second with the excuse me, Aston Martin. And the reason why the Aston Martin falls behind the Alpine for me is that for me that no Norris for me the green is slightly too dark, and through some of the through some of the capture that I've seen on Bahrain, admittedly mostly through day one during sandstorm time, it was so dark in some of those camera shots. I was like, Aston Martin or Mercedes, and I was like, oh no, that's not a question I wanted to ask when I was thinking about green versus silvery black. So so it's that. Then the AlphaTauri, I do really like that colour combo and the way how it's all worked together. And what makes it much nicer for me now is that added Honda sweep that goes underneath. Really sets it off.
It does. Well, this is a good chance actually for me to also touch on testing from today because...
oh, yes, please.
So Bottas ends the day fastest. But Ross Brawn says that sprint qualifying won't devalue the Grand Prix. I fucking disagree.
Why are they so obsessed with trying to get that through?
I have no idea. But Hamilton talks about the failure on his car. But yeah, let's get a summary here of what's gone on.
Oh, so they're saying that his spin was not a failure then? Oh, was the car failure, not him?
Well, yeah, it seems that way. So, the standings at the end of second day of testing. Valtteri Bottas was fastest with a 1:32.89 and 58 laps under his belt.
Nice.
Followed by Pierre Gasly, 87 laps. He is a tenth slower than Bottas.
Wow.
Third, Lance Stroll, 71 laps, a 1:34.60, so just under 2/10. Lando Norris was fourth, 52 laps, 1:35.86. And then, surprisingly, Antonio Giovinazzi, P5, 125 laps.
Wow.
1:37.60. Charles Leclerc, 73 laps, 1:38.86. Nicholas Latifi, 1:31.672. So, oh dear, 1.4 off the fastest time. Perez in P8, 117 laps, 1:31.682. So 1.4 seconds as well. Then you've got Ricciardo, Alonso, Yuki Tsunoda, Schumacher, Sainz, Mazepin, Hamilton and Vettel. But currently Alpine lead the way with the most laps completed. So it seems they have a reliable car. But honestly, I'm finding the front of the grid or even the midfield incredibly hard to predict.
Yeah.
I'm not confident that Red Bull are going to be the second team. And as for who could be the second team, I think you've got to consider McLaren there for sure, and possibly Aston Martin. But then also I feel like Alpine is in the mix somewhere at the front of the grid, and also Ferrari. So, like, the top half of the constructors is really, really hard to figure out. And also, like, AlphaTauri looks like it has a good car. It looks, in some parts of the track, it looks better than the Red Bull because they've insisted on going their own way. So who even knows, man? I mean, it's exciting, but I do miss the days where I felt smart by being able to predict some things.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
But, like, it's impossible to really know anything about this sport at the moment. Like, some of the driver moves don't really make sense, and I'm still scared Rich Energy is going to turn up at some point. And I heard a compelling case on a podcast the other day for the team in question being Haas.
No.
Oh no!
Nasty hit. Turn the engine off.
God damn.
What a way to return back to Failcast with a double DNF.
But we said this before we went live, that
Yeah.
it was going to be a double DNF. I could feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would have thought that Haas obviously wouldn't touch them with a barge pole. However, it's obviously not Williams or Alfa Romeo, which were the only two other serious contenders. And the hosts were saying, well, let's listen to what Rich have said. A friend of ours is buying a majority stake in a team. Who's looking to sell a majority stake in their team? Yes, that's correct. There's only one. There's Haas. Gene Haas wants out, and the only reason he's not out is because of that 200 million that safeguards the brand. So there's every chance that there's a deal going through at the moment for a takeover of Haas, and maybe whoever's doing it is a friend of William Story and his bad Santa beard. So yeah, I mean, they said it would be announced already, but we know they are liars, so that doesn't really help anything. But what do you think, to wrap out the episode? Do you think there's any truth to this comeback, or...?
Oh, I hope not. The only kind of flip side of that is that Rich Energy has actually sponsored quite a few other things in other categories with relative normality, I guess is probably the best way to say it. But I just don't want them to... how can you have a creditable future with that brand back in again unless you do some kind of apologying beforehand? I find it very strange. I feel like Haas would be much better served by just becoming Russian Time Revenge.
Actually, but they can't do that, can they? Have Russian Time renamed themselves for this season? Because not only can the flag not be used... because they're not allowed to use Russia or Russian in the names of teams or sponsors. Yeah,
and I think that's why the whole name has gone entirely, and they've become something else entirely, because it was an issue. So yeah, I find the whole thing bizarre. I don't want Rich Energy nowhere near the sport. I don't necessarily. Yeah, I don't want them there at all. Unless they're going to announce that they're backing a entirely new team in. But yeah, maybe all will be revealed when Drive to Survive Season 3 comes out next week.
Yeah, let's
be juicy.
Let's hope so. I'm really looking forward to that, and I've heard it's good. Some people, it's been pre-released to some people in the world of F1, the F1-osphere, or whatever you want to call it, and I'm hearing good things. Bit annoyed that Gasly gets a storyline again, because I actually find him incredibly boring. But I suppose, his win,
redemption,
and his sort of and the stuff with Antoine Hubert, I think maybe makes for some compelling stuff. But I kind of hope that George Russell is in there. I don't like that they don't find time to cover everybody, really. Yeah. And given how popular the show is, and given the appetite for it, and the fact that this year they had to have multiple camera crews because of COVID, I don't know why they didn't just make a super huge series.
Yeah.
Instead of just doing 5-6 episodes, do fucking 12 and give everyone a bit of airtime.
Mm-hmm.
Or do like 10 and have one for each team.
Yeah, because when it was 10 episodes originally, I was like, oh, they're doing one per team. And it just clicked in my head, but I didn't realise that wasn't going to be how it necessarily worked. It almost did for season 1, but not going forward.
Because, you know, like, what annoyed me is I've seen a lot of footage now of Carlos Sainz eating breakfast with his dad. But there's... No, but haven't you, right? Like, you saw him watching football on his dad's sofa. You saw him having breakfast with his dad. You saw him having a barbecue with his dad. Having tapas with his dad. But you saw no Lando Norris.
Mm-hmm.
Why? And then they seem to have an obsession with Daniel Ricciardo, and I don't know why. I mean, I like Danny Rick, and I think he's funny, but he I think I'm right in saying he's had the most coverage so far.
It wouldn't surprise me. He is like the flagship for it. And
so, the other thing is, I'm not looking forward to Hamilton being in this season.
I'll be interested to see what slant he has in it. So I will reserve judgment. But for me, the reason why I was interested in Drive to Survive is that I wanted to hear about the stories that I don't hear from every other press angle. So I didn't necessarily... I could understand from maybe a new person's coming in. It must have been really weird originally to not have Mercedes or Ferrari as part of the initial season and then only like drip fed in for season 2. Because it doesn't give you like... You're watching all the stories of everyone else who's not winning. But I don't mind it so long as we get to see a different slant of a different view of the same story. Then it will keep me interested. If it's just going to be the same old stuff, then I'll be less excited.
I mean, for me, I think in season 2, the people who took part seemed a bit more media savvy. And I'm scared that it's going to be increasingly corporatized, because in the first season you got so much unguarded speech, and in the second season you just didn't get quite that much. And I agree with you. I don't want to hear the same old stories. I want to hear the additional details. You know, all the times you see Christian Horner speaking to Alex Albon and the microphone's cut, and it's like, well, that's the stuff I want Drive to Survive to show me. Mm-hmm. Like, how did they try and help Albon through? Because they stuck with Albon longer than I gave them credit for.
Yep.
And I do, for once, believe them when they say we tried our best to make it work with him. I do believe them. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious to see how that plays out, or if they just cut it completely. I don't know. It's difficult. I did like in the trailer though the part where Grosjean's wife's in it as well, and he's saying, "I'm the man who walked out of fire," and his wife like rolls her eyes like, "What a prick."
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm glad you did it, because that's what I did on the inside.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Anyway,
I tell you what we have come out with on this race. No Mercedes, no Red Bulls, and no Ferraris scored points either. So we should be exactly where we were beforehand. That was only Bottas scored 2 points. McLaren won 3. Stroll on second. Is this a vision for the future for 2021?
I certainly hope so.
We need Nico Rosberg to pop out with an explosion going, "Is this their career over?"
I do still love those memes, if I'm honest.
Same.
Well, there we have it, a double DNF, our first one of the season. We had a lot of those last season. Let's hope this is the only one this season, although I suspect Singapore might be another one.
Oh, that's true.
Anyway, delighted to be back, Old Bean. A pleasure and a delight as always.
Yes. We are still 3rd and 4th in the Drivers' Championships, and we are still 2nd in the Constructors. So, normality, we can attack from the back again next time. We'll be fine. Grand. But yeah, lovely to have you back. Thanks everyone for tuning in and for being patient, and we'll be back to a normal schedule from now on in as we approach the season opener. Do you have Any prediction for the winner?
I hate to say it, but Mercedes. I could actually see Bottas taking the first win, and then there'll be this whole Bottas 4.0 media thing.
Ooh, good shout.
Just because Lewis looks a bit down in the dumps, but honestly, I think Mercedes are going to have it in the bag again. Just not enough has changed. So yeah, what about you?
Same. And I also kind of think it might be a Bottas win because Hamilton looks miserable. So we'll see there. Hello, Matthias Gameplays. Thank you for joining, but we're just signing off. Yeah, anyone want to stick in their predictions? Stick it in the comments below, and we'll see who was right after the race. Yeah,
Happy days.
Cool.
Bye, everyone. Have a good time.
Take care all. Bye.